Super Tuesday, arguably the biggest day of the presidential campaign, with voters in more than a dozen states heading to the polls. Republican frontrunner Donald Trump decided to spend part of this big day in Columbus. He is greeted by thousands of supporters as well as protesters. NBC4 there as the campaign's most controversial candidate delivered his message. A few weeks ago, political rivals. Today, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie and Donald Trump are travel companions. Thousands waited and were not disappointed in the familiar message of Donald Trump.
Oh, we're going to build the wall. Don't worry about it. Oh, we'll build the wall. That wall is getting taller with every interview these ex-Mexican presidents do. Getting taller, taller. It's getting up there, I'll tell you what.
His tough talk continued on immigration, fixing the economy, and strengthening the military, but also had time to knock opponent Marco Rubio, who questioned Trump's physical attributes.
Actually, I'm 6'3", not 6'2", but he said I had small hands. They're not small, are they? I never heard that one before. I've always had people say, Donald, you have the most beautiful hands.
And his supporters wouldn't have it any other way.
He is bold and daring, and he never backs down. And the fact that he loves Americans, all Americans, that's what we love about him.
By calling attention to the problem, you see that it needs fixed. I think a lot of the people didn't even think about a lot of the issues until he brought them up.
Now, among the thousands of supporters at the Donald Trump rally, there were protesters who were equally as passionate, even interrupting Trump when they yelled out during his speech. NBC4's Harrison Hove spoke exclusively with some of the protesters who were removed from that rally because of their outbursts. Harrison?
Colleen, that's right. Everybody who went to the rally today parked in this huge parking lot at Port Columbus. Everybody got on shuttle buses to go over to that airport hangar, but when the protesters made their interruptions, they were promptly escorted out, put right back on those shuttle buses, brought here to this parking lot, where some of them talked exclusively to me. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump spoke, but not everyone cheered.
Is that a friendly noise or an unfriendly noise?
Among the thousands, a handful of protesters were removed from the rally. The first group.
It was important for me to make a stand. I see all sorts of people my age and younger in these Trump rallies, and the hatred that Donald Trump expresses hurts my heart.
4 attendees upset about Trump's stance on illegal immigration.
There's no way out for these people, and they need help. They need help. And our government's so busy about the Middle East. I mean, why don't we try to help our neighbors first? Start at home.
NBC4 cameras were rolling as another group was asked to leave.
Out, out, out!
Those protesters holding their hands in the air with clenched fists. I spoke with them after their shuttle buses dropped them off at an airport parking lot.
You're here trying to make America great again, but you're bashing us once again before we get anything out of our mouths.
Diversity makes America great.
This group of first-time voters says they felt harassed as they were called names by Trump supporters. They tell me they can't imagine a Trump presidency.
I felt harassed. I felt violated, even though I'm a citizen in America, born in America. I'm not an immigrant, but they were calling me different things.
I'll tell you, I witnessed firsthand as I was interviewing both groups of young voters today, some of the insults that were shouted out at them by Trump supporters. I can also tell you that the Ohio Republican Party is increasingly worried about what a Trump nomination would mean for the general election. Ohio Auditor Dave Yost, who is a Republican, has already come out publicly and said he won't support Trump in the general election, let alone vote for him. And he says a Trump nomination would essentially be handing the keys to the White House to Hillary Clinton. Dissension in that Republican Party tonight here in this state. I'm live in Columbus. Harrison Hove, NBC4.
Thank you, Harrison. Now, the question on the minds of a lot of folks tonight, will Trump's opponents be able to make a move today? Ted Cruz, he voted in his home state of Texas, where he's leading in the polls. Marco Rubio is in Minnesota, where he says he's feeling pretty optimistic about tonight. Meanwhile, Ohio Governor John Kasich was in Virginia, where he told supporters that the way to beat Donald Trump is to be calm and patient and wait for the right moment to strike.
The Democratic candidates also busy today. Bernie Sanders cast his ballot in his home state of Vermont this morning. He says he feels confident that he'll do well, especially if the voter turnout there is large. His opponent, Hillary Clinton, was in Minneapolis talking to voters. Polls show that she was the favorite in many of the Super Tuesday voting states coming into today. Of course, there's a lot more Super Tuesday coverage coming up on NBC Nightly News at 6:30. You can also keep up with the action on our Ohio Votes page. Look for it under the News tab at NBC4i.com.